this is just a bad dream.
Garry was laid to rest on September the 3rd, 2007, 3 weeks after his death. It was a traumatic moment for the whole family. Adam Swellings finally admitted to police that he had struck Garry, and forensic evidence was building to place Stephen Sorton at the scene.
We then were able to identify that it was a telephone call from Swellings through to the rest of his colleagues, if you like, to say he was out of prison and they were going to join up. They then, round about 3 p.m, we had them on CCTV buying alcoholic drinks. They were then playing football in a local park when they were approached by a police community sports officer who confiscated some drink off some of the youths. And then round about 7 p.m. onwards, we had a number of incidents that they were involved in where attacks took place, or threats to attacks took place on other individuals and youths in the area, which culminated round about 10:30 with them being in Station Road, and obviously the incident with Mr. Newlove's car before the attack on him.
That night, the gang had been drinking cheap alcohol bought from local off-licences, something that resonated with the general public as it came at a time when fear over Britain's booze culture and associated antisocial behaviour was at its height.
Alcohol played a huge role in what happened to Garry. These boys had been drinking very heavily that night, and this is something that resonated heavily with the public. How could this be allowed to happen? How could these boys have access to alcohol? How could they be allowed to roam the streets looking for trouble while drunk and drinking? It was an issue that the then Chief Constable Peter Fahey was aware of.
So you would like to see the drinking age raised to 21?
Yes, absolutely. And it is this issue also about drinking in public.
It was certainly based on not just the Garry Newlove case, but the fact that it was such a huge issue for us right across Cheshire. And it was that feeling that something needed to be done. And, the particular danger that young people were causing, those that had been drinking that much, but also the fact that they made themselves very, very vulnerable, either as victims of crime or as perpetrators of crime.
On the 13th of November, just 3 months after Garry's death, the trial began. 5 youths were up on murder charges, including Adam Swellings, 19, Stephen Sorton, 17, and Jordan Cunliffe, aged 16.
They started hitting my dad and...
After several police interviews and identity parades came the trauma of a trial. The Newlove girls and Helen were all to be key witnesses for the prosecution. Amy and Danielle, being the youngest, gave their evidence by video link.
I had to sit with my hands underneath my lap, and if I cried, I have to put my head down. And it was just so confusing because the questions were so highly worded because I was only 12 and I didn't really understand what they were saying. And I'm not the cleverest of people, but they fired questions after questions and it just confused me. And I was saying no when I was meant to say yes, and I was so uncomfortable and it put me under so much pressure.
I didn't know what it was going to be like, I didn't know what to expect. And to be cross-examined by 5 different people and you feel like you're the one in the wrong. That's how I felt. When I got there, I thought I'd done something wrong, and, if I say something that, isn't spot on, if I've got, like, a description of one of the guys wrong, I'm going to ruin everything and they're not going to be put away. I felt like I could, in one word, let someone down, and then that would be on my conscience. And I already felt guilty for, not saving my dad, and I still do, and I know I can't have done anything.
What was it like seeing those youths in court?
They were just normal, everyday youths you see on the street. But basically, the distance between where I sat and they sat is literally the distance that me and you are at the moment. And to actually see them look around smiling, it's unbelievable. You just think, how can you do that?
Is that what they were doing?
Yeah, they laughed, they were smiling. It made me feel physically sick, to be honest, and we are told we can't show any emotion whatsoever, so it was a hard 10 weeks to follow.
They showed no remorse during the court process. I think at times difficulty was, I think they treated it more as a bit of a joke, in fairness. within the trial process, not taking it seriously, and at times they were sniggering, and I think occasions they were dropping off to sleep as evidence was being given.
He went out to see what was happening.